The envelope fell from my hands and landed on the kitchen floor with a soft thud. My legs gave out and I grabbed the counter to steady myself. Inside that envelope was a bank statement showing an account I had never seen before. An account with my name on it. An account with $32,000 in it. $32,000. Before we proceed, thank you for watching Her Voice Narrative. Please subscribe and tell us where you are watching from in the comment section. I looked up at my mother-in-law Elizabeth, who was standing in my kitchen with tears running down her face. Her hands were shaking as much as mine were. "He made me promise not to tell you," Elizabeth said quietly. "But I cannot keep this secret anymore. Not after what happened this morning." "What are you talking about?" I whispered. My voice did not sound like my own. It sounded far away and broken. Elizabeth sat down at my kitchen table and put her face in her hands. When she looked up at me, her eyes were red and swollen like she had been crying for hours. "My son has been putting money into that account for 4 years," she said. "Every single week without fail. He has been saving for you to go back to college. Ever since you told him you wanted to become a nurse but could not afford it." The room started spinning. I pulled out a chair and collapsed into it. 4 years. 4 years of struggling to make ends meet. 4 years of eating cheap meals and wearing clothes until they fell apart. 4 years of watching my husband James work himself to exhaustion while telling me we were barely making it. "I do not understand," I said. "We have been so careful with money. We clip coupons. We never go out to eat. I have been buying clothes from thrift stores and making our coffee at home to save money. Why would he hide this from me?" Elizabeth reached across the table and took my hand. "'Cause he knows you, Sarah. He knows you would never let him sacrifice for you. You would fight him on it. You would insist on working more hours or giving up your dream entirely." My mind was racing back through the last 4 years. All the little things that did not make sense at the time. The way James always said he was not hungry when I offered him lunch. The way he wore the same 3 shirts to work over and over even though they were getting thin and faded. The way he always volunteered to work the holiday shifts that paid extra. "His work boots," I said suddenly. The memory hit me like a truck. He has been wearing the same boots for 3 years. The sole is coming off on one of them. I keep telling him to buy new ones but he always says they are fine. Elizabeth nodded slowly. "He told me those boots cost $140. He said that was almost a full week of savings for your account. He said he could make them last another year." I put my head down on the table and started to cry. Deep heavy sobs that shook my whole body. This man. This beautiful stubborn man who I had been married to for 8 years. He had been quietly going without so that I could have everything I needed. "There is more," Elizabeth said softly. She pulled a small notebook out of her purse and slid it across the table to me. "He asked me to keep this safe. He said he wanted to give it to you when the time was right." I opened the notebook with trembling fingers. The first page had my name written at the top in James' messy handwriting. Below it was a date from 4 years ago. The day after I came home crying because I had gotten rejected from nursing school due to not being able to afford tuition. Day 1, the entry read, "Sarah cried herself to sleep last night. I held her and promised her everything would be okay. Tomorrow I start saving. No matter what it takes. No matter how long. She will get her dream." I turned the page and found rows and rows of entries. Each one was dated. Each one showed a small amount of money and what James had given up to save it. Brought lunch from home instead of buying. $7 saved. Walked to work in the rain. Bus fare saved. $4. Told Sarah the coffee maker broke. Made coffee at work instead. Saved $15 a week. Cancelled my gym membership. Sarah thinks it closed down. $40 a month saved. The entries went on and on. Page after page of tiny sacrifices. Things so small I never noticed them. But they added up. Week after week. Month after month. Year after year. Some entries made my heart ache. Skipped lunch today. Stomach hurting but worth it. $12 saved. Told Sarah I was not thirsty when she offered to stop for drinks. We were both hot from yard work. $5 saved. Did not buy myself a birthday present. Sarah got me a card and that was enough. Saved the $50 I had set aside. Fixed the car myself using YouTube videos instead of taking it to the shop. Took me all weekend but saved $200. And then there were entries that broke me completely. Sarah said she wanted to try that new restaurant for our anniversary. I told her I wanted to cook for her instead because it was more romantic. Truth is we could not afford it and I did not want her to know. Used the money I had saved for dinner to put in her account instead. $120. Sarah keeps talking about wanting to take a vacation. She shows me pictures of beaches and mountains. I nod and smile and tell her someday. I hate lying to her. But someday will come. When she finishes nursing school we will go everywhere she wants. For now, every vacation dollar goes to her future. Worked a double shift on Christmas. Sarah was sad I had to work but I told her the holiday pay was too good to pass up. She does not know I volunteered for it. She does not know I would work every holiday if it meant getting her closer to her dream. $400 saved. I could not stop reading. Every page showed me a side of my husband I never knew existed. A side that loved me so deeply and so quietly that I had been blind to it. Near the middle of the notebook I found an entry that made me stop breathing. Sarah got sick today. Really sick. She needed medicine but our insurance does not cover it. The pharmacy said it would be $150. I saw her face when they told her the price. I saw her trying not to cry. I told the pharmacist we would take it. I paid with money from her school account. I know I am not supposed to touch it. I know every dollar counts. But seeing her in pain hurt worse than any sacrifice I could make. I will work extra hours to make it up. Her health is worth more than anything. I set the notebook down because I could not see through my tears anymore. All this time I thought we were struggling together. I thought we were both making sacrifices. But James had been carrying the weight alone. Protecting me. Loving me in ways I never saw. Elizabeth was crying too. I did not want to tell you, she said. James made me swear I would not. He had this whole plan. He was going to surprise you next month on your birthday. He had it all worked out. He was going to take you to that restaurant you love. The one you always say is too expensive. He was going to give you the bank account information in a card. He had already written the card. I saw it. It said, "Go make your dreams come true, Mrs. Chen. I will be proud of you every single day." Why are you telling me now? I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. Why did you break your promise to him? Elizabeth looked down at her hands. Because he is in the hospital, Sarah. Because all those skipped meals and all those extra shifts and all that stress finally caught up with him. His body could not take it anymore. The words hit me like ice water. I was on my feet before I even realized I was moving. Where is he? What hospital? What happened? He collapsed at work this morning, Elizabeth said. She was crying hard now. He had not eaten anything since yesterday lunch. He was working a double shift. His blood sugar dropped too low and he passed out. He hit his head on the way down. They took him to Memorial Hospital. I did not remember grabbing my keys. I did not remember running to the car. I did not remember the drive to the hospital. All I remembered was running through the emergency room doors and demanding to know where my husband was. They led me to a room in the back. James was lying in a hospital bed with an IV in his arm and a bandage on his forehead. His eyes were closed. He looked so pale and tired and small in that big bed. I walked over and took his hand. It was cold. "James," I whispered. His eyes opened slowly. When he saw me, his whole face changed. "Sarah," he said. His voice was rough and weak. "I'm okay. Do not worry. I just got a little dizzy at work. It is nothing." $32,000, I said. His eyes went wide. Then he looked past me and saw his mother standing in the doorway. "Mom," he said. "You told her." "I had to," Elizabeth said. She was crying again. I could not keep it from her anymore. Not after this. James looked back at me. His eyes were filling with tears. "I wanted to surprise you," he said. "I had it all planned out. Your birthday is next month and I was going to take you to dinner and give you the account and tell you to go enroll in nursing school. I wanted to see your face when you realized you could finally do it." I climbed onto the hospital bed next to him. careful of all the wires and tubes. I put my head on his chest and wrapped my arms around him. "You stupid wonderful man," I whispered. "What have you been doing to yourself?" His arms came around me and held me tight. "I have been loving you," he said simply. "The only way I know how. By starving yourself," I said. "By working yourself into the ground. By wearing broken shoes and skipping meals and lying to me about why we could not afford things." "I was not lying," he said. "We really could not afford those things. Not if I wanted to keep saving for you." I sat up and looked at him. His face was serious, determined, like he did not understand why I was upset. "James, do you understand what you have done to yourself?" I asked. "Do you understand that you are in the hospital right now because you have been treating your body like it does not matter? You matter more," he said. "Your dreams matter more." "No," I said firmly. My voice was stronger now. "Nothing matters more than you being healthy and alive. Nothing. Not nursing school. Not my dreams. Nothing. But you have wanted this for so long," James said. "Ever since you were a little girl you wanted to be a nurse. You told me that on our first date. You said helping people was all you ever wanted to do. I cannot let you give that up because of money. And I cannot let you kill yourself trying to give it to me," I said. I was crying again, but my voice was steady. "James, listen to me. Love you. I have loved you since the day I met you. You are everything to me. If I had to choose between nursing school and you, there would be no choice. You would win every single time." "You should not have to choose," he said. His jaw was set in that stubborn way I knew so well. "You should have everything you want. You deserve it. You are the kindest, most caring person I have ever met. You would make an amazing nurse. I am not going to let our bank account stand in the way of that." I took his face in my hands. "Do you know what you have already given me?" I asked. "Do you have any idea?" He looked confused. "You have given me 8 years of unwavering support," I said. "You have believed in me when I did not believe in myself. You have held me when I cried. You have celebrated every small victory with me like it was the biggest thing in the world. You have loved me so completely and so selflessly that I did not even see half of it. That is worth more than any amount of money. That is worth more than any degree. But I want you to have your dream," James said. His voice cracked. "And I will," I promised him. "But not like this. Not at the cost of your health. Not at the cost of you suffering in silence while I lived in ignorance. We are partners, James. We are supposed to carry these burdens together." "I did not want you to feel burdened," he said quietly. "I wanted to handle it. I wanted to be strong enough to give you what you needed." "You are strong," I said. "You are the strongest person I know. But even strong people need help. Even strong people need to eat lunch and buy new shoes when their old ones fall apart." He smiled a little at that. "My boots are pretty bad," he admitted. "They are terrible," I said. "And you are buying new ones this week. Good ones. Expensive ones. The kind that will last and will not hurt your feet." "But the money," he started. "The money is ours," I interrupted. "Not mine. We are going to sit down together when you get out of here and we are going to make a plan. A real plan. One where we both eat 3 meals a day and take care of ourselves and still save for my school. It might take a little longer, but we will get there. Together." James was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I have been doing this for 4 years, Sarah. I have gotten used to living this way. I do not know if I can change." "You are going to have to," I said. "Because I am not watching you destroy yourself anymore. Starting today things are different. Starting today we are a team in every sense of the word." He looked at me with those brown eyes that I fell in love with 10 years ago. "Okay," he said finally. "Babe. We do it together." I kissed him softly. Then I settled back down next to him on the hospital bed. Elizabeth had left the room at some point to give us privacy. It was just the two of us in the quiet hum of the hospital. "Tell me something," I said after a while. "When was the last time you ate a real meal?" James thought about it. "I had dinner last night," he said. "You made that pasta." Before that, I pressed. He was quiet. "James, I had a sandwich 2 days ago at lunch," he admitted. "And some crackers yesterday morning." My heart broke all over again. "That is not enough food," I said. "You cannot work 12-hour shifts on crackers and expect your body to keep going." "I know," he said quietly. "I know that now. A nurse came in to check his vitals. She told us the doctor wanted to keep him overnight for observation. They wanted to make sure his blood sugar stabilized and that the bump on his head was not serious. "I'm staying with you," I said immediately. "You do not have to," James said. "You should go home and get some rest." "I'm staying," I repeated. There was no room for argument in my voice. He smiled. "Bae." The nurse brought him a meal tray. Chicken and rice and vegetables and a roll and pudding. James looked at it like it was a feast. "Eat all of it," I told him. "I will," he promised. I watched him eat every bite. He ate slowly, like his stomach was not used to this much food. Probably was not. That thought made me want to cry again, but I held it in. After he finished eating, he looked tired. The doctor said he needed rest. I turned off the lights and sat in the chair next to his bed. I held his hand while he drifted off to sleep. Elizabeth came back in the evening with food for me and a bag of things from our house. Clean clothes for James. His phone charger. His toothbrush. "How is he?" she asked. "Stable," I said. "They want to keep him tonight, but he should be able to go home tomorrow." Elizabeth sat down in the other chair. "I'm sorry I told you," she said. "I know he wanted it to be a surprise. But when I got the call that he was in the hospital, I knew I could not keep his secret anymore. You needed to know what he had been doing. You needed to understand." "I'm glad you told me," I said. I reached over and squeezed her hand. "If you had not, I might have never known. I might have just thought he was sick. I would not have understood the whole picture." "He loves you so much," Elizabeth said. She was looking at her son sleeping in the hospital bed. "When he first told me his plan, I tried to talk him out of it. I told him there had to be another way. But he was so determined. He said you deserved to have your dreams come true and he was going to make it happen no matter what it took." "He is stubborn," I said with a small smile. "He gets that from his father," Elizabeth said. She smiled too, but it was sad. His father was the same way. Would give you the shirt off his back and never think twice about it. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Just two women who loved the same man. Watching him sleep. Grateful he was okay. When visiting hours ended, I walked Elizabeth to her car. "Thank you," I told her. "For telling me. For keeping his notebook safe. For raising such a good man." She hugged me tight. "Take care of him," she said. "Make sure he takes care of himself." "I will," I promised. "We both will. Things are going to be different now." I went back to James' room and settled into the uncomfortable hospital chair. I pulled out the notebook and started reading through it again. This time more slowly. Taking in every word. Every sacrifice. Every expression of love. There were entries I had missed the first time. Little notes he had written to himself. Sarah smiled today. Really smiled. The kind that reaches her eyes. I've not seen that in a while. She has been so stressed about money and work. I wish I could tell her everything is going to be okay. I wish I could tell her about the account. But not yet. When the time is right. She has been talking about nursing school again. She tries to hide it, but I can see the longing in her eyes when she sees nurses at the doctor office or on TV. She was meant to do this. She was meant to help people. I'm going to make sure she gets that chance. Sometimes I get so tired. Working doubles and picking up extra shifts and barely eating. My whole body aches. But then I come home and see her face and it is all worth it. Everything is worth it for her. I had to stop reading because I was crying too hard. This man. This beautiful selfless man who loved me more than I ever knew was possible. I must have fallen asleep in the chair because the next thing I knew it was morning and a nurse was coming in to check on James. He was awake and looking at me with soft eyes. "You stayed," he said. "Course I stayed," I said. "Where else would I be?" The doctor came in later that morning. James' blood sugar was back to normal. The bump on his head was not serious. He could go home, but he needed to rest. No work for at least a week. And he needed to eat regular meals and take care of himself. "I will make sure of it," I told the doctor. After we got home, I made James sit on the couch while I made lunch. Real lunch. Sandwiches with actual meat and cheese. Fruit. A cookie. "This is too much," James protested when I set it in front of him. "Eat it," I said. "All of it." He ate every bite. I could tell it made him uncomfortable, having this much food. But he did it anyway. Over the next few days we talked, really talked, about money, about sacrifice, about what we both wanted for our future. We looked at the account together. $32,000. 4 years of tiny sacrifices adding up to something huge. We can use this for your school, James said. That was always the plan. We will, I agreed. But not all of it. We are going to use some of it to take care of things we have been putting off. You are getting new work boots. Good ones. We are fixing the car properly instead of with duct tape and hope. We are going to buy groceries without checking every price. And we are going to set aside some money for emergencies so that neither of us ever has to skip meals again. James agreed. Reluctantly at first. But when he saw how serious I was, he stopped arguing. We made a budget together. A real one. We figured out how much my nursing school would cost. How much we could save each month if we both contributed. How long it would take if we did it the right way. The healthy way. It was going to take longer than James' original plan. Maybe another 2 years before I could enroll. But we would both be okay. We would both eat. We would both have what we needed. And we would do it together. James went back to work after his week off. But things were different now. He ate lunch every day. I packed it for him myself. Sandwiches and fruit and snacks and a thermos of coffee. He protested at first, but I did not give him a choice. I also started working a few extra hours at my job. Not so much that it hurt me, but enough to help with the savings. James did not like it, but I reminded him we were partners. We carried the load together. We started doing things we had not done in years. We went out to dinner once a month. Nothing fancy. Just a regular restaurant. But it felt like luxury after years of eating every meal at home. We went to the movies. We bought ice cream from the good ice cream shop instead of the cheap kind from the grocery store. And slowly James started to look healthier. Color came back to his face. He had more energy. He smiled more. The dark circles under his eyes faded. I still thought about those 4 years. All that time he suffered in silence. All those meals he skipped. All those sacrifices he made. It hurt to think about. But it also filled me with a love so deep I sometimes could not breathe. 6 months after James' hospital stay, we were sitting at the kitchen table going over our budget. We did this every month now. Together. I think we should take a vacation, I said suddenly. James looked up at me in surprise. A vacation? Yes, I said. Nothing big. Just a weekend trip somewhere. We have never been on a real vacation together. Not in all the years we have been married. But the school fund, James said. We'll still be there when we get back, I finished. James, we are allowed to live a little. We are allowed to make memories. We do not have to put every single dollar toward the future. He thought about it. Then he smiled. Okay, he said. Where do you want to go? I do not care, I said honestly. I just want to go somewhere with you. Where we can both relax and eat good food and not worry about money for 2 days. We ended up going to Little Beach town 3 hours away. We stayed in a cheap motel, but it had a view of the ocean. We walked on the beach. We ate seafood at a local restaurant. We stayed up late talking and watching the waves. It was perfect. On the last night of our trip, we sat on the beach watching the sunset. James had his arm around me and I had my head on his shoulder. Thank you, I said quietly. For what, he asked. For loving me the way you do, I said. For seeing my dreams as important. For sacrificing so much. For being you. He kissed the top of my head. You do not have to thank me, he said. Loving you is the easiest thing I have ever done. We sat there until the sun disappeared below the horizon. Until the stars came out. Until we were the only people left on the beach. 2 years later I enrolled in nursing school. We had saved enough to cover the first 2 years of tuition. The rest I would take out in loans. Small ones. Manageable ones. But that was okay. We had a plan. James was so proud. He came with me on my first day. Walked me to my first class. Kissed me goodbye like I was heading off to war instead of to anatomy and physiology. You are going to be amazing, he whispered. I could not have done this without you, I whispered back. Yes, you could have, he said. You would have found a way. You always do. I just helped speed things up. But that was not true. Without James, the first would have given up. Without his quiet sacrifice and his unwavering belief in me, I would have convinced myself that nursing school was just a silly dream. Something other people got to do but not me. Nursing school was hard. Harder than I expected. There were nights I came home crying. Nights I wanted to quit. Nights I was sure I was not smart enough or good enough. James was there for all of it. He quizzed me on medical terms. He held me when I failed a test. He celebrated with me when I passed. He brought me coffee during late-night study sessions. He never once complained about the long hours I spent with my nose in a textbook. And I made sure he took care of himself. I packed his lunches. I made sure we had real dinners together. I insisted he take breaks and rest. We had learned our lesson. We took care of each other now. 4 years after that day in the hospital, I graduated nursing school. Top of my class. James was in the audience crying. So was Elizabeth. So was I. I got a job at the same hospital where James had been admitted that day. The emergency room. Felt right somehow. Coming full circle. On my first day of work, James drove me. He walked me to the entrance. Kissed me goodbye. "I am so proud of you," he said. His voice was thick with emotion. "You did it. You really did it. We did it," I corrected him. "We did this together." And we had. Every step of the way. Through sacrifice and struggle and love that ran deeper than I ever knew possible. I still have that notebook. The one with all of James' entries. I keep it in my bedside table. Sometimes when I have a hard day at work, I pull it out and read through it. I remind myself of what love really looks like. Not in grand gestures or expensive gifts, but in quiet daily acts of sacrifice. In putting someone else's dreams before your own comfort. In loving so completely that you would go hungry to feed their future. James and I have been married for 15 years now. We have paid off my student loans. We have savings in the bank. Real savings. For emergencies and for fun and for our future. We still pack lunches. But now they are full lunches. With everything we need. We still budget carefully. But we also let ourselves live. We take vacations. We go out to dinner. We buy the good ice cream. And James has new work boots. Really good ones. He replaces them every year before they even start to wear out. It makes me happy every time I see them. Sometimes I think about that day in the kitchen when Elizabeth handed me that bank statement. How my whole world shifted in an instant. How I went from thinking we were barely surviving to realizing my husband had been building me a bridge to my dreams, one skipped meal at a time. It breaks my heart and fills it all at once. I'm a nurse now. I help people every day. I get to live my dream. I get to make a difference in the world. And I owe so much of that to a man who loved me enough to wear broken shoes and eat peanut butter sandwiches and work himself to exhaustion. But more than the career, more than the degree, more than any of it, James taught me what real love looks like. He taught me that love is not just saying the words. It is showing up every single day. It is sacrifice that no one sees. It is putting someone else's happiness above your own comfort. It is believing in someone's dreams even when they have stopped believing in themselves. That is the greatest gift he ever gave me. Not the money, not the education, but the knowledge that I am loved completely and unconditionally by someone who would move heaven and earth to see me happy. And that is worth more than anything money could ever buy. I make sure to tell James the first love him every single day. Multiple times a day. I make sure he knows how much I appreciate everything he did and everything he continues to do. I make sure he never doubts for a second how much he means to me. 'Cause he is my hero. Not because he saved me. But because he loved me enough to sacrifice for my dreams while making sure I never felt less than whole. He carried the weight so I could fly. And now we fly together. That is what marriage should be. Two people lifting each other up. Two people making sacrifices for each other. Two people building a life together where both dreams matter and both people are taken care of. We learned that the hard way. Through hospital stays and hidden bank accounts and notebooks full of secret sacrifices. But we learned it. And we live it now. Every single day. My husband hid a secret from me for 4 years. A secret that nearly cost him his health. A secret that showed me the depths of his love in ways I never imagined. My mother-in-law revealed that secret to me in my kitchen on a day I will never forget. And what happened next was the rest of our lives. Built on honesty and partnership and love that knows no limits. I would not change a single thing. Years have passed since that terrifying day at the hospital. Our lives look different now. Better. Stronger. We have learned lessons that only come through struggle, and we carry them with us every single day. James still works at the same company. But he does not work the crazy hours anymore. He learned that taking care of himself means he can take care of us better in the long run. He comes home at reasonable times. He eats lunch every day. He takes his vacation days. I work 3 12-hour shifts a week at the hospital. The schedule is intense, but it gives me 4 days off to spend with James. We have learned to value time together more than anything else. We also started a tradition. Every year on the anniversary of the day James collapsed, we do something special. We call it our second chance day. We spend the whole day together doing things we love. Sometimes we go back to that beach where we took our first vacation. Sometimes we just stay home and cook together and watch movies. It does not matter what we do. What matters is that we are together and we are both healthy, and we remember how precious that is. Elizabeth comes over for dinner every Sunday. She and I have become close over the years. She tells me stories about James as a boy. How even then he was always thinking of others. Always giving away his lunch to kids who forgot theirs. Always helping neighbors with yard work without being asked. His generous heart was always there. I just got to see the fullest expression of it. We talk about starting a family sometimes. James and I. We both want children. But we are careful now. We make plans together. We talk about the financial reality. We make sure we are both ready. We have learned that going it alone and trying to be a hero does not work. Partnership works. Communication works. Honesty works. I think about the version of myself from that day in the kitchen sometimes. The woman who had no idea what her husband was doing. The woman who complained about their financial situation without knowing James was living on crackers so she could have her dreams. I wish I could go back and tell her to pay attention, to notice the small signs, to ask more questions. But I also know that version of me was doing her best. Just like James was doing his best. We were two people who loved each other trying to navigate a hard situation. We made mistakes. But we also created something beautiful. The notebook James kept sits on our bookshelf now. I moved it from my bedside table to a place where we can both see it every day. Sometimes James catches me looking at it and he gets embarrassed. He says those were just thoughts he needed to write down. That they were not meant to be some grand romantic gesture. But I tell him that is exactly what makes them so powerful. He was not trying to impress anyone. He was not trying to win points or look good. He was just loving me in the quiet private moments when no one was watching. That is the purest kind of love there is. I've started my own notebook now. I write in it every week. Small things I do for James. Not sacrifices like his. We do not do that anymore. But small acts of love. Making his favorite dinner when he has a hard day. Filling up his gas tank as a surprise. Recording his favorite show when he has to work late. Leaving notes in his lunch bag telling him I love him. I want him to know that love goes both ways. That I see him. That I appreciate him. That I would do anything for him just like he would do anything for me. One day I will give him my notebook. Maybe on our 20th anniversary. Maybe on some random Tuesday when he needs to be reminded how much he means to me. I have not decided yet. But I know when the time is right I will feel it just like he felt it. We learned something important through all of this. That the strongest relationships are not the ones without problems. They are the ones where two people face problems together. Where they communicate. Where they trust each other enough to be vulnerable. Where they love each other enough to sacrifice but also love each other enough to stop the other person from sacrificing too much. Balance. That is what we have now. Beautiful hard-won balance. James still tries to do too much sometimes. It is in his nature. He sees me studying for a certification exam and he wants to take over all the housework. He sees me tired from a long shift and he wants to handle everything so I can rest. I have to remind him that we are partners. That letting me help him is not a burden. That I want to carry things with him. And I still try to do too much sometimes too. I see him working on a project and I want to jump in and fix everything. I see him stressed and I want to solve all his problems. He reminds me that he is capable. That he needs to handle some things on his own. That asking for help when he needs it does not make him weak. We are still learning. Every day. How to love each other well. How to support without smothering. How to give without depleting ourselves. How to receive without feeling guilty. It is a dance we will probably be learning for the rest of our lives. But that is okay. That is what marriage is. Constant evolution. A constant growing together. A constant choosing each other over and over again. I think about my patients sometimes. The ones who come into the emergency room alone. The ones who have no one to call. The ones who face their hardest moments with no hand to hold. It breaks my heart every time. 'Cause I know how lucky I am. To have James. To have someone who would move heaven and earth for me. To have someone who sees me at my worst and loves me anyway. I try to be that person for my patients. The hand they can hold. The kind voice in the chaos. The person who sees them and cares. I learned that from James. How one person caring can change everything. My coworkers ask me sometimes why I chose emergency nursing. It is hard work. Chaotic. Unpredictable. You see people on the worst days of their lives. You deal with trauma and pain and death. Why would anyone choose that? I tell them about James. About that day he collapsed. About the fear I felt not knowing if he would be okay. About the nurses who took care of him. Who were kind to me. Who explained everything. Who made me feel less alone. I tell them I wanted to be that person for someone else. I wanted to take the worst moment of someone's life and make it just a little bit better. They understand then. Most nurses have a story like that. A moment that changed them. A person who inspired them. A reason they do what they do. James comes to the hospital sometimes to bring me dinner on my long shifts. He is not supposed to come back to the emergency department, but the nurses all know him. They let him through. He brings me food from home and we eat together in the break room. Just 20 minutes in the middle of chaos. But those 20 minutes fill my cup for the rest of the shift. The other nurses tease me about it. They call James my devoted husband. They say they wish they had someone like him. I always smile and say they deserve someone like him too. Everyone does. Someone who shows up. Someone who cares. Someone who makes the effort even when it is hard. On my worst days at work, when I lose a patient or when I cannot save someone or when the weight of it all feels like too much, I come home and James is there. He does not try to fix it. He does not tell me it will be okay. He just holds me. Lets me cry. Lets me process. Reminds me that I am human and I am doing my best. On his worst days at work, when a project fails or when his boss is unreasonable or when he feels like he is not doing enough, I do the same for him. Listen. I hold him. I remind him that he is more than his job. That his worth is not tied to his productivity. That I love him for who he is, not for what he does. We have created a safe space in our marriage. Place where we can both be vulnerable. Where we can both fall apart. Where we can both be put back together. That is what The Secret almost destroyed. James trying to be strong all the time. Never letting me see him struggle. Never letting me in. Now we let each other in. To the dark places. To the scared places. To the places where we are not sure we are enough. And in doing that we have become stronger together than we ever were apart. I look at the bank account sometimes. The one James created for me all those years ago. We still use it. But now we both contribute to it. Now it is for our shared dreams. We are saving for a house. Something small but ours. With a yard where we can plant a garden. With a guest room for when Elizabeth visits. With enough space to grow our family when the time is right. Every time we make a deposit, I think about those early deposits James made. The ones that came from skipped lunches and walked miles and sacrificed comfort. I think about how far we have come. How much we have grown. How much stronger our foundation is now. Money does not scare us the way it used to. We have learned to talk about it openly. We know exactly what we have and what we owe and what we are working towards. There are no secrets. No hidden accounts. No silent sacrifices. Everything is on the table. Everything is discussed. Everything is decided together. That transparency has changed everything. We make financial decisions as a team. We set goals together. We celebrate wins together. We face setbacks together. And it feels so much better than the old way. The way where James carried everything alone. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Elizabeth had not told me. If James had succeeded in his plan. If he had surprised me on my birthday with the account and I had never known the cost. Would I have been happy? Would I have gone to nursing school? Would our marriage have survived? Maybe. But it would not have been what it is now. It would not have this depth, this understanding, this partnership. Sometimes the hard truths are the ones that save us. Sometimes having everything exposed and laid bare is exactly what we need to build something real and lasting. I am grateful for that day even though it was terrifying. I am grateful Elizabeth broke her promise. I am grateful James ended up in the hospital because it forced us to face what we had been avoiding. It forced us to change. It forced us to be honest. It forced us to build something better. We go to marriage counseling sometimes. Not because we are in trouble, but because we want to keep growing. We want to keep learning better ways to communicate. Better ways to support each other. Better ways to navigate challenges. Our counselor says we are one of her favorite couples to work with because we both come willing to do the work. I think that is the secret to a good marriage. Not the absence of problems, but the willingness to work through them. The commitment to keep showing up. The dedication to keep choosing each other even when it is hard. James and I choose each other every day. In big ways and small ways. In morning coffee and goodnight kisses. In packed lunches and filled gas tanks. In listening when the other person needs to talk. In comfortable silence when words are not needed. In laughter and tears and everything in between. Our life is not perfect. We still have hard days. We still argue sometimes. We still get frustrated with each other. But underneath all of that is a foundation of love so solid that nothing can shake it. A foundation built on honesty and sacrifice and partnership and trust. I tell young couples sometimes when they ask for advice that marriage is not about finding someone perfect. It is about finding someone imperfect and choosing to love them anyway. It is about seeing all their flaws and struggles and weaknesses and saying I am still here. I am not going anywhere. We are going to figure this out together. That is what James did for me. He saw me struggling with my dream and he did not tell me to give up or be realistic. He said I am going to help you make this happen. Whatever it takes. And then he did. And that is what I do for him now. I see him struggling and I do not let him carry it alone. I say we are in this together. Let me help. Let me be your partner in every sense of the word. And he lets me. That mutual support. That give and take. That balance of strength and vulnerability. That is what makes our marriage work. I'm not saying it is easy. It is not. Marriage is hard work. Takes effort and intention and constant communication. Takes being willing to admit when you are wrong. Takes being willing to forgive. Takes being willing to grow and change and adapt. But it is worth it. Every single bit of it is worth it. When I come home from a hard shift and James has dinner ready and the house clean and a hug waiting, I know it is worth it. When James has a hard day and I rub his shoulders and listen to him vent and remind him how capable he is, I know it is worth it. When we curl up on the couch together at the end of a long week and just exist in the same space, I know it is worth it. When we laugh until we cry over something silly, I know it is worth it. When we hold each other through grief or fear or uncertainty, I know it is worth it. This life we have built together. This partnership. This love. It is everything. And it all started with a secret. A secret that nearly destroyed us. A secret that ultimately saved us. A secret that taught us what love really means. My husband hid something from me for 4 years. He sacrificed in ways I never saw. He loved me in a language I did not understand. My mother-in-law revealed the truth and everything changed. What happened next was not easy. It was not simple. It was not what either of us planned. But it was real. It was honest. It was the beginning of the rest of our lives. Lives built on truth instead of secrets. On partnership instead of silent sacrifice. On love that is spoken out loud instead of hidden in notebooks and bank accounts. I look at James now sitting across from me at our kitchen table. The same table where Elizabeth handed me that envelope all those years ago. He is reading something on his phone and smiling. He looks healthy, happy, peace. He looks up and catches me watching him. What he asks with that smile I fell in love with. Nothing, I say. I just love you. I love you too, he says. Like he has said 1,000 times before. Like he will say 1,000 times more. And I believe him. Not just because he says the words, but because he shows me every single day in countless ways, big and small. In the way he packs my lunch before he leaves for work. In the way he texts me during the day to check in. In the way he makes sure I take care of myself the same way I make sure he takes care of himself. Love is not just a feeling. It is a choice. A daily commitment. An action verb. James taught me that. His secret taught me that. Our struggle taught me that. And now we live that truth every single day. Together. As partners. As equals. As two people who love each other enough to be honest even when it is hard. Who trust each other enough to be vulnerable. Who believe in each other enough to sacrifice but also love each other enough to make sure those sacrifices are shared. This is our story. The story of a secret that changed everything. The story of love that looked like peanut butter sandwiches and duct-taped boots. The story of a man who would give everything for the woman he loved. The story of a woman who learned what real love looks like. The story of two people who built something beautiful out of the broken pieces. And I would not change a single moment of it. Not the hard parts. Not the scary parts. Not the parts that brought us to our knees. Because all of it, every single moment, led us here. To this life. To this love. To this beautiful imperfect perfect partnership. This is what happened next. And it is still happening. Every day. Every moment. Every choice we make to love each other well. This is our forever. And I could not ask for anything more.